This is not going to start any problems. Alright, as you might have guessed, I own a 2000 Acura TL. Now, the story behind that car is my dad bought it brand new from the dealership in 1999, drove it for a few years until the lease was up, and then my mom took over the lease after 4 years, bought the car out, started driving it, until about 8 years ago. Then we kept it in storage until I got my license, and now I drive it. So because this car has been a part of my life, it's dropped me off at school, all the way from elementary school to high school to college. I started driving it towards the end of college. It has a special place in my heart, and I'm going to keep it for as long as it physically can run. And in the meantime, I'm going to be making it better. So I have spent a crap ton of money on a full exhaust kit, and I'm not just talking about new mufflers, straight pipes, or anything. I'm doing full manifold back exhaust. This is basically as full of an exhaust modification as you can do to your car. There's an oil pan there, but I'll get to that later on. Basically, I have the diagram of the exhaust here. It starts off with these two headers or exhaust manifolds, which are these things right here. This is coming straight out of the engine, so exhaust gases escape and go into these individual holes. Now, normally on the OEM design, it goes into a giant manifold, which is like one collecting piece that takes all the exhaust from the engine and shoots it back out into this larger pipe. What this does, instead of going into one giant collector, it travels through individual pipes, making it a smoother flow for the exhaust. Now, this will create more noise, so bear that in mind if you plan on upgrading from a manifold to a header design on your car. Now, because it's going into individual pipes, more air is escaping from the engine out the exhaust, so the quicker air is breathing out, more air is being taken in from the engine, thus creating more horsepower. That's the logic behind that. So from those headers, it goes into what's known as this front pipe, or a J pipe or Y pipe, whatever some people might call it, this thing. So this connects to one part of the header. There's a gasket that goes here, and that connects to the other side because there's two headers. So once the air comes through the headers into these pipes, it escapes through the back of this pipe into the catalytic converter. Now, you don't really need to upgrade the catalytic converter or replace it. This is a high flow catalytic converter from Magnaflow. They just put it in the wrong box, but this is a direct fit catalytic converter. So it's a freer flowing design. So what there are these little honeycombs you can see here. This is less restrictive of a design than the OEM design. Not only that, the original catalytic converter is the original catalytic converter. It's been on the car for the last 18, 19 years and the last 262,000 kilometers that we've owned it. So I'm curious to see what the condition of that catalytic converter is. So either way, more exhaust flow is coming out through this thing. Now again, it's going to create more noise because these are also considered muffling devices because of their restrictiveness. So there's the O2 sensor. So I am keeping the OEM emissions system intact, so I'm not adding more pollution to the environment. There's still an O2 sensor here, there's still an O2 sensor here. So that way it can still sense emissions. So that way I can still go to the drive clean and get my emissions done. So from the catalytic converter, it goes into this really expensive puppy right here. Now here's the OEM design. You got a resonator, another muffler, and then two more mufflers. So 3 mufflers in total in one resonator. On this design, this is a full stainless steel design. So what's different about this, one muffler is being deleted. So it doesn't have a muffler. Instead, it just has one resonator. So that thin piece right there, that's actually a resonator, and it's a much thinner design. Basically, it's to help prevent droning while still acting like a straight pipe. So it creates as much muffling as possible with as little restriction as possible. So I still get to keep the original muffler so it doesn't sound too loud, but this design is much larger piping than the OEM design. The OEM design has 2¼ inch diameter piping coming from the cat back, and this is a 2½ inch piping. So I have a larger diameter piece of pipe that's going on the cat back. I still haven't unwrapped it. I'm going to unwrap it at the shop when I put it in. So just bear that in mind. Look at how huge actual tip is. The tip is built into the muffler. I love this, so you don't have to add those cheesy aftermarket chrome tips, or even the OEM had them installed in from stock. Look at how big it is. It's 4 inches in diameter, and I could fit my whole hand through it. This is gonna sound amazing. Oh, I can't wait until this gets installed. Now, the reason why I'm doing a new oil pan, the oil pan sits right above this exhaust J-pipe, and it's currently leaking within the seals. So I figured I'm going to be doing my exhaust. I figured while this is off, I might as well reseal the oil pan. And I checked how much it's cost, and I was able to find one pretty cheap. So I'm like, you know what, might as well do a new oil pan instead of reusing the old one, just because why not? I even bothered to repaint it with high heat black paint. So I'm going way too overboard with this project. I even bought stainless steel nut hardware, and I'm not using the hardware that came with the Tanabe kit because it's cheap and it's regular steel. I figured I might as well do the job properly and do it once, especially for spending well over $2,000 in parts. Yeah, I know, it's insane. This car is 19 years old, but it's my baby. It's been so reliable. I haven't had to replace or fix anything unless, of course, I've broken it. So I still have so many pre-recorded videos that I have to edit.
This is the gasket that I'm going to be using for the oil pan. It's Ultra Black by Permatex. It's the best gasket to use to seal oil surfaces like oil pans. Not valve cover gaskets, those get too hot, but this has the best oil resistance out of any gasket maker out there, even better than the OEM Honda stuff. The only problem is it takes about 24 hours to cure, so you better have time on your hands before using this. Otherwise, you can just use the right stuff, which cures a lot quicker, but it's not as good as this. So that's pretty much it. Oh, I'm also going to be throwing in new oxygen sensors as well, because the old ones that are on the car are pretty much original, and I have a feeling, you know what, might as well put new ones on, get them to last even longer. I am curious to see how all these old parts look after, 19 years, especially the catalytic converter and everything. So this is going to be a pretty fun project. I can't wait to put everything on and show you guys the difference that it makes, and I'll show you guys a quick before and after of sound clips at least. All right, take care, guys.